you're a bunch of good people that want everyone around you to succeed, which is rare. And I think that's what you're showing. You're showing people that this is what I built, and I want you to build it too.
Dude, we all have the best time ever to start a small business.
If I'm not going to be 100% in, I'm not going to do it.
Come on, man, just be yourself.
Yeah,
and just show up as yourself.
If you don't realize what I'm really about, I'm about freedom, family, and my country. Tommy, cheers.
Cheers, sir.
Welcome to the new set. What do you think about it?
It's beautiful. I saw it being built through Instagram for the last 3 months. It's pretty awesome.
How are we doing on the content? We doing good at like showing people the journey? Is it arrogant? Is it like, are we getting the right message of inspiration out? Like, what do you think?
I think you're doing a good job of showing the lifestyle you're building. I mean, and I told you this before we came on. I was like, what gravitated me towards you guys is you're a bunch of good people that want everyone around you to succeed, which is rare. And I think that's what you're showing. You're showing people that this is what I built, and I want you to build it too. So
yeah, I mean, dude, I couldn't be more from the heart, and it's awesome that someone else said to Trevor actually recently, I forget who it was, but they were like, I see good radiates around what you guys are doing with that podcast and the pit, and we're glad to pull people in like you. At first, when I launched it all, when the podcast had all this success, I was like, why aren't more people coming in? And then they did after the first big event. We had like 100 people, and then it was all the wrong people. It's like, these aren't the people I want. This is not the vision I had. And people are like, you're stupid. You're throwing money out the window. I don't care. My point is, you're the right people. You're good people. You've done well for yourself. You have a great background, what you're going to go through. And you're on the right mission. And those are the people that we want affiliated with Fireside. Those are the people we want to help prop up. Those are the people that we want to fucking do business with. And so thank you for being here. Cheers again.
No, thank you for having me.
So Tommy Rinaldi.
Yes, sir.
Fight. He's ready to fight. We'll get into fight brand soon. Homedale kid.
Right.
Father was a doctor. Mom stayed at home?
Yep.
What's your mom's name?
Rosanna.
Rosanna. She good at some meatballs? What's her meal?
She's Polish, but excellent. Excellent Italian cook. Shockingly.
What's her go-to?
It's the meatballs. And
yeah.
sauce.
Special recipe?
If I don't know it, but yeah.
Mom, I'd like the invite on a Sunday.
Fair enough.
I'll give you the
She's
tester.
watching the kids right now, so we're good.
Good mom.
Yeah.
Good grandma.
Grandma here.
Your father was a doctor, so he showed you what work ethic was.
Right.
Great childhood.
He's a Brooklyn Italian, and still commutes. He's in his 70s now. Still commutes to Brooklyn 3 or 4 times a week.
For what?
As a doctor. He still sees patients.
Oh, he practices in New York.
He lives in Point Beach, and he drives up an hour and a half every day.
Damn,
now
he's
3 days a
crazy.
week. Yeah.
Why don't he take the boat?
I think he just likes the solitude of the drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is nice.
So
You can do it on the boat too. The boat's nice. Throw a podcast in, have a little coffee or a cocktail.
Well, he's not the podcast generation right now.
Yeah.
So
Well, we got to teach him. He's going to learn after today. So high school, Homedale, big athlete, baseball player.
Sure. Yeah, I was Homedale High School. I played baseball, a little bit of football, and
What
then
position in football?
I was a D-back, wide receiver, kick returner.
Really, you
Smaller
return
guy.
kicks?
I was.
You were fast?
Back then, I was fast, and that's the only reason why I was good. I was
We
a
should have
catch.
a race in your Jordans
Yeah, that's we can
versus
do it.
me and my boat shoes.
I still got it, I think. But yeah, so high school was a catcher in baseball, and I'm not the tallest guy, but I guess my bread and butter was a left-handed hitter and could run,
Yeah, it's important in baseball.
so to speak.
So, how'd you like school? Were you a good student, bad student?
You mean like high school age? I was average. I mean, I did well. I mean, I tested well, so like SAT, that kind of stuff. And the only reason why I went to Villanova to play baseball to
You're
start.
getting ahead, Tom.
Well, I'm just
I
telling
didn't
you.
get there yet.
I'm just trying to give you a little,
order
little
operation.
foundation. But the only reason why I got there was a good tester. It wasn't a good, I guess, student, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then baseball. Obviously, I wasn't a complete academic student to get there. But yeah.
Oh, Villanova's D1.
Yep.
We have other Villanova grads and athletes on the podcast.
Okay.
Basil Iwanick, which has actually moved back to Spring Lake. One of the biggest producers in Hollywood, did all the John Wick series.
Cool.
Sicario, We Are Marshall. So I think we had a couple other Villanova people as well. So
Well, I didn't graduate there, so
I didn't say you graduated.
yeah.
I said you got drafted for baseball.
Fair enough.
Did they draft you in college? They just kind of recruit you, or you just go there?
They recruit you, and then you like sign a letter of intent, and then you go.
Yeah, I never made it past 11th grade, so I didn't get there.
It is what it is.
So what was that experience like in college playing baseball?
So my focus then was on baseball and having a good time, and thinking I was probably better than I was. And
At school or baseball?
Baseball. And like school, I was just getting by. Like I'm telling you, getting by.
What was your GPA?
At Villanova,
Yeah.
I think by the time I transferred
You
after
already
my
skipped
first
to
year.
Villanova. We're off high school.
Yeah. No, we're like
You fast-tracked this podcast.
I
by
think
like 5
Villanova
minutes.
was like a 2-1, which is not good. But
Sounds pretty good to me. That CD?
it got me enough so I can still transfer. But it limited the places I could go. Put it that
You
way.
were focused on sports.
I was focused. I thought, like I said, I thought it was better than I was. I wasn't playing, meaning the coach wasn't playing me. But that's probably because I was out partying.
Here's a nugget where all kidding aside. So thinking you were better than you were, did you believe you can go pro? Like
At that time, yeah. At that
fully
time.
believed you could go pro.
At that time, yeah.
So you're feeling yourself. We're young.
Yeah.
You're thinking to go pro. An injury happens, right?
Transfer. So Villanova, I think I'm better than I am. I want to play more. I transfer to UMBC, which is also D1, famous for beating UVA in the NCAA tournament, the 16 versus 1.
Sorry, there's a private jet flying over my yard
That's
right
cool.
now.
There's a lot of them around here.
So many of them.
Yeah, it's
I
wild.
thought the economy was bad.
It's wild.
Not for the elitists.
It's
We'll get there.
But yeah, so I thought it better than it was. I get to UMBC, 8 games in, I blow out my knee. So
What is that college?
UMBC?
Yeah.
University of Maryland, Baltimore County. So no one knows it, but the only reason why
How is it D1?
it's in the same conference as like Albany, Stony Brook, Binghamton,
Got it.
like those schools. So it's
Did you
not.
play Dave West?
What's that?
Did you play Dave West? He was at Albany.
No. At least I don't remember if I
He's a
did.
beast.
But yeah, so I blew out my knee. I also was humbled by then. Like I knew I wasn't as good as I thought I was.
So knee gets blown out. Where's your headspace? I'm not going pro. The Yankees aren't picking me up.
I think even before that, I was humbled. I mean, the first time I got to play UMBC opening game against Tulane, number 9 ranked team in the country, in the middle of Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Did you go to Mardi Gras?
If I was a senior, I would have went to Mardi Gras. But by then, I was a
That
little
sounds
scared
like a
to get.
lawyer answer. Did you
I
go
did
to
not.
Mardi Gras?
Sadly, I did not. One of my life regrets. I did not go to Mardi Gras, but humbled pretty quickly by the level of athlete that is legit D1. That those guys can't even go pro.
Yeah.
But and then I blow out my knee, and then it's a real realization.
Let's point that out for a second, because I hope some young guys who watch this who are athletes, I follow Shore Savages. Whoever that guy is doing that content, like, kudos to him. Like, I really like high school football. I like to pay attention, like, what teams are doing well, and, all that Shore Conference and then states. Shore Savages, that guy is like a savage. To get to his reporters, whatever he has building on that, I hope he does really well with that content. But to actually get to the MLB or the NFL or the NBA, especially in baseball, most of them seem like they're foreigners nowadays. What is the percentage? Do you know?
No, but the level of like freak athlete that person is it's just not comprehensible when you're. I mean, I was like whatever, all state, all conference, all
It's
short.
just genetics. It's like genetics.
It's yes. There's a level of like hard work that get you so far and like skill sets, but the athletic ability at that level is you just can't teach it.
Go NFL real quick. Gronk. This guy that looks like, just freak tall, big guy, shredded, and he's got like this freakish speed. He doesn't look like he's fancy with his feet. He doesn't have amazing footwork, but the guy always got away, always had yards after catch. And he's just like this freak, strong, athletic, tight end.
Or take a guy that doesn't look athletic, like a Tom Brady, right? I mean, I know he's greatest of all time, but he is not, and what we would consider athletic.
So I disagree with you. He is not athletic at all.
I
He's not athletic.
But he's a scratch golfer. He was drafted to play baseball. That guy, if you saw him do...
He's mentally tough and smart.
If you saw him do athletic things, throwing, running, although it's a little awkward, hitting, I just think that's just stuff, like, I can't golf like that. He's a better baseball player than I ever was. And
Brady played baseball?
I'm pretty sure he was drafted by, like, the Expos or something like that.
Get the fuck out of here.
Swear to God. Yeah. I'm telling you, like, when you see those guys...
I'm pretty good at golf, actually. I hate golf, but I'm pretty good.
Like a local guy like Todd Frazier, absolute freak growing up. Absolute, like, next level. Like, you can't compare.
Dave West was supposedly better than Todd Frazier. I mean, this is a battle going on. Sorry, Todd.
Drafted by the Expos.
Dave. Brady was drafted by the Expos? That was for, like, PR. That was for PR. Brady, you're not that good at baseball. I can strike you out.
Well, my college roommate at UMBC, that school that no one knows what it is, he was a Tom's River Little League World Series guy. So
on that team?
He was on Todd's older brother's team.
You know what's really cool? Todd just went back for ESPN and announced the Little League World Series, which is so cool.
Right.
What a charitable guy that guy is. You know, you and I are going to be donating $500 each to Children's Specialized Hospital this week. You hit the bullseye, first one. You should be on the Hall of Fame. We should put it in the garage.
Pure luck. I could barely see out of this scope.
Yeah, you actually couldn't see about 30 seconds prior. But he's so involved with Children's. He does a ton of things for Tom's River's Little League, and I know his family's involved in the baseball there, and it was cool to kind of see him go and do that. And again, I don't know Todd that well. The last year I've got to know him much, much better. But I knew of him because you're a sports guy. You're paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
And to see them do well, and then he went to college, and then, you know, the pros. And what I loved most about Todd's career is he came back to the Yankees and the Mets.
Right.
Like, he got up, he was doing that signal, like whatever he was doing, like on the Yankees. He had the whole team going. It was, he's a special guy, fun people.
Even better, he's coming back to his community. Like, he's back in Tom's River with Specialized, which does, and like what I do for a living.
Should I move
like,
back to Brick?
If it's up to you. I mean, not. I wouldn't leave this place if we put it that way.
It has nothing to do with the town I'm in. I just like this. I like the land.
Yeah. Well, you gave me that tour on the quad where my grips.
You were touching me a little in there. I didn't want to say anything. It was.
I was
gonna call my lawyer.
A, you smelled good, and B, like, I had no choice when you're going up a hill at, like, I don't know how many miles an hour, but I almost, crap my pants. But it's what it is.
That was cool.
Yeah.
I went soft on you, actually. Ask Trevor. I can be much rougher.
I don't want to take the hard.
So we get off track, but athletes, sports, all that is, very difficult to do. And I think a lot of times, younger kids, I'm seeing it in some of my nephews and some of my friends' kids. Like, they're doing a lot, and they are good. They're good for the town that they're in. And I'm not saying these young kids aren't going to go excel and do really well and play for Notre Dame lacrosse or, whatever they're into. But it's a very small percentage that does. And when you get humbled, right, you realize that you're not that good and you suck. Or you have an injury and now everything you ever wanted to pursue is gone. I think that builds character. And if that's happening to you and you're a young individual, girl or guy, those are like good things. Embrace that shit. Like, I had all these tough trials and tribulations through my life, kicked out of school. I had, family issues, this, that. We could sit there and all go like, poor me, poor me. All of that built me. I don't look back and go, oh, Ryan's like that old guy. Like that dude's dead so many years ago. It built me up to be able to do this. And for you go through this knee injury. You're now going, I'm not going to the Yankees. Where did that take you?
Well, I think at first it's like you're saying, your whole life, what you think is the cream of the crop, right? And like, so you're good, you're working your ass off, etc. And then you get humbled, and you get in this like Division I environment or whatever, and the guys you're around
New fireplace is so much harder to like stack wood. Just fun fact. I'm sorry to interrupt.
But let me know if I got to throw one in too. But so
like wood in?
yeah, sure.
See?
Not that hard to stack when you're a Division I baseball player. But
That was actually really nice placement.
thank you.
Do you play horseshoes well?
I haven't. Although I'm Italian, I should be.
Bags?
But yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
but you get humbled quick. I think you get humbled by the internal competition you're with, like meaning the guys on your team. You're like, Jesus Christ, that guy's way better than I am, and I always thought I was the best.
Yeah.
And you could either take it one or two ways. You can just sit on it and just like be the guy who's in the corner, just rah, 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 or you can try to work your ass off to try to beat him out. And so
You were doing a lot of hard work, even, to backtrack into, younger age, high school. Your father was a doctor, which we mentioned. You're somebody who we can, some other haters may say, hey, this guy was brought up on a silver spoon. So you had the ability to go take advantage of your parents wanting to help you and utilize their resources to give you additional coaches and practice. You took full advantage of that.
yeah, I mean, my dad was a Brooklyn Italian guy, first college educated kid in his extended family.
A lot of pressure for your dad, by the way.
Yeah.
And he went and became a doctor. He's a stud.
And then he moved out of Brooklyn, skipped Staten Island, came down to Homedale for a better life for us. And he tried to give me every advantage in whatever I did, whether it was academic, athletic. Like if you're struggling with reading, you're going to get a tutor. If you're struggling with your SATs, you're going to get a tutor. If you're struggling with your speed, you're going to be running with a tire with this speed coach on Friday nights on the football field while everyone else is partying. And I just took it as an advantage. Some people can take their silver spoon because they got a nicer car or like nicer shoes, like the way it was projected on me, even though we had, what we wanted. You take those tools and make them an advantage and just run with it. So
it feels really good to hear you say that because I get very nervous. I feel like, again, that old Ryan's dead, but like all of this grit got me to here. To have this beautiful house and property and family I have, I'm blessed. And even when I get up every day, I'm still like, I'm obsessed with progress because of what I didn't have and because of what I want to provide for my family, the memories. Like my son was riding his little PW50 today. I'm like, that's so fucking awesome.
Right.
Like I created that. But then on the other hand, I'm like, oh fuck, am I spoiling them? Like, are they gonna turn out wrong? So like, I guess you gotta be principled in, your morals and ethics and, teach them the value of the dollar and, instill that hard work, which your father obviously did.
Yeah, I mean, we got kids the same age. Like we struggle with like the balance.
Aren't they in the same class?
Yeah. Yeah.
You actually helped me with pickup today. You're like, Ryan, you got to wave.
Yeah, this is where you got to say Miss Miller. Like I'm right over here.
I was clueless out there.
Yeah, and if I wear the red fight hat, they're like, "Who's that guy?" And then,
they get nervous.
Yeah, but yeah. So
why, you think there lives over there at Atlantis Prep?
I don't know. It depends on what color hat I'm wearing on the day. Like the red hat, I think you get a little bit different
I wear
vibes.
MAGA hats out everywhere. People high-five me and stuff.
Yes, you get like I was at Egan's liquor store in Seagirt the other day, and the guy who's checking me out, like he was like all about like super friendly, whatever. And then you walk by some other establishments, and you're just like, you get the eyes. You can just feel it. Oh yeah, whatever. But it's fun, I think. But anyway, yes. So going back to your question.
The You Miss shirt with the middle fingers is the best.
That's good.
I wore that to the Atlantic Club the other day. It was interesting.
You get a different vibe there a little bit.
They didn't want to know.
Yeah.
I was hoping they did.
But going back to your question with the like, I just think all you can do is try to give your kids the best environment in this world. Try to get them away from the devices to the extent you can. You have in this property. What's that?
Your kids have iPads?
It depends on the day. They exist.
You're bad, Dad.
But they. Well, they don't. They had them, but one of the two smashed the other. So now there are no iPads for anybody. Mm. Yeah, but you have a place like this. Like it's incredible. You're like I was saying. Like when I was riding on your back on the quad, you're 10 minutes from the ocean, and you're in the middle of the woods. And that is an experience that you've been able to afford your kids that.
And I want to share it with more than just my kids. I want to share it with the people who are part of the Fireside ecosystem, the people who who are doing business with us, the people who believe in what we believe in, which is, my country, family, and financial freedom for helping others do that. And, I just want to make sure that my kids carry that torch. I get very weary. Like, a lot of my drive is from being poor. And I don't say that my parents didn't work extremely hard to put a house. We were all talking about this earlier. Like, we really had a pretty good life. Your life was slightly different than Trevor's and I's, but we all lived good.
Right.
The clothes on our back.
Well, I don't know. Are your parents hardworking?
Oh, extremely.
So like that's the example you're setting. It's not like a money thing. The money affords your kids better opportunities, better advantages, but the example you're setting for your kids is what matters. So you're setting that example. So
I just have to explain to Colton, like, Daddy discovered content. Because he just thinks I'm hanging out in the garage all day with my friends. What's Daddy doing out there, Mom?
Well, I told Colin, I was like, I'm going on YouTube with Colton's dad. He's like, YouTube? I was like, yeah.
It is so cool how enamored they are. It's seriously awesome, and that's a great way to look at someone who would spin something that was positive into negative, going, oh, he was raised this way, they had money. And that's the biggest thing with Fireside that I want to get across. Like, it doesn't matter where you came from. If you're willing to fucking go to work and put your nose to the grindstone and go after something that you fully believe in, and nothing is going to stop you until you get to it, you can accomplish anything that you want. If I wanted to go be the president of the United States of America, and maybe one day I have to be, and that might sound outrageous to a lot of you people, I don't really care, but I would do it. Like, I feel like Trump stepped into that role and was like, hey, like, I have to go do this. I'm not saying that's my goals. I really want to get to like a certain level and kind of chill and hide, like Homer Simpson gif, like he fades into the bushes. But you could accomplish anything if you just had the right mindset and some work ethic.
Well, and that's what I love about the Fireside, what you call ecosystem. The group of guys, the guys that are out there, like, everyone is in it together. Yeah. Like, it's a unit, which is just, I said at the beginning, it's like just totally rare.
And everybody's at different levels too, which I think is really cool. At some point I'm like super liquid, and then other people are super liquid. It's kind of almost, we don't, but it's almost like everybody has like the same wallet.
Right.
We're all trying to accomplish a much bigger goal that is bigger than all of us.
Right.
And if you actually had a country that thought with citizens that you owe your country more than your country owes you, you would also have success. Instead, we're in a world of like, people were blown away that 3 years ago I was saying like, fuck wearing a mask. This is bullshit. They're like, dude, you're an extremist, or they're gonna cancel you and all that stuff. And I don't want to be a tough guy. I don't just say this stuff to try to get the algorithm going right. Like, I believe that in my heart and soul. Like, people can, like, if your morals and ethics say, like, for example, people recently have reached out to me and be like, you should be the right-wing conservative, talk news and Jersey and blah, 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 blah. I can't do that because I'll become corrupt.
Right.
Because I'll be chasing the next story, the next story, the next story, the next story. Nah, I'm going to sit here and talk shit from my backyard about what I believe in and operate the way that my morals and ethics have guided me to get to this point.
Well, I think the whole like right, left wing thing, it's just like
stupid.
You can't pigeonhole you. Like, there's things that I don't believe in that some people do that are on the conservative side of thing, and the liberal side there might be something like.
What is something you don't agree with the conservative side?
Well, I guess if you go into like what I do for a living, right? So I'm a injury attorney, which as a whole.
We didn't get into that yet, which is good. It means the story's fun.
Well, it is like kind of on point to what you're asking me. So it's all forms of personal injury, so to speak, whether it's a car accident, a fall down, medical malpractice, funeral home negligence, which is wild, nursing home negligence, things
I have a lot
like
of questions now.
Yeah, right. It's good. Some of those are just wild. But unlike the medical malpractice side, right? So we handle and
things like somebody who was born with a kid who has special needs that we're unaware. Let's go with that.
They're called in like litigation, they're called wrongful birth cases. So they are situations where a woman's pregnant, early on in the pregnancy, there's tons of tests that go on, right? Whether you have a history for certain things, there's ultrasounds, whatever. And then depending on the situation, the doctor, in theory, could miss a diagnosis that would have afforded that woman the right to have a choice to have an abortion. And we're not talking late-term abortions or things like, we're talking like first, early trimester,
So you're not
maybe
down
at the
with like the
second.
10th month?
No.
Waltzes.
Yeah. So
You're a VP guy?
so that's where like I think I fall. I mean no one knows exactly where Trump falls, but I probably fall in a similar plane as he does, which is, obviously rape, incest, those sorts of things. But there's also situations like I've had a case where we had a trial. It was the saddest thing in the world. This child should have been diagnosed with something called Tay-Sachs disease. It's a genetic issue that is easily diagnosable early on through blood work, and the doctor just missed it. That child was born, but that is not a child that's born where you enjoy the years or the time you have with them. That child is born at the outset with strokes, seizures.
Yeah, just fucked
like
up
just
shit.
like the saddest thing
horrible.
you've ever seen. Like that is not.
I can't handle that.
It's just wild. And so, to me, that is not a situation.
Like we should have caught this.
Right, and that is something that I don't have an issue with a woman having the choice to have an abortion.
Yeah, I agree.
And so that is not a hardcore conservative. I mean, there are people on one side of the aisle that's like,
But I think
abortion's always wrong.
I think they group us, someone who backs Trump, and Trump's completely imperfect, but us who are like about freedom, like they'll pin us on something like that. Like they wouldn't even let someone with rape, have an abortion. Like bullshit. I didn't say that.
And that, I mean, not to get like into the politics of it or the
Well, we're already in it.
constitutionality
We're
of
already
it, but
We're already in it. That's a good lawyer term.
with the
Stop dancing.
it's the
I'd
lawyer
crush
in
you in
me,
court.
right? Just like hedging it.
I'd crush you in court.
No, I'm going to answer directly, Your Honor. But
Objection. He's not answering questions.
I'm going to do it. But no, so like the reality is with that whole topic, like it should be not governed by a federal bureaucracy. It should have freedom and autonomy of the states. If you go back to like, I'm a historian buff, so to speak, and like the entire purpose of the way the United States is created was you don't want the government to have large overseeing power over you. States should have some autonomy, and that's all they did. All they did was say, if you want to live in New Jersey, your abortion rights are way
The more
like
you keep
bigger
talking, I
scope.
have more questions.
All right, go.
So you're a history buff.
Sort of.
So do you believe the history they told us?
Whose history? Like what? You got to be a little more specific.
Your history studies in high school and college.
I'm talking like American history.
Okay, but they gave us American history, so world history, 9th grade.
I think it's. I think American history is accurate. I haven't like gone back into like the Ming Dynasty of China and whether that's.
So you think
accurate.
that the history that they gave us in our books is accurate? You're watching what's going on today, and what they'll probably say 20 years from now. So you're going to say that what you look back on 40, 50 years ago is accurate.
What we learned in school, I think, is real. I'm talking about the like United States being like a entity, and the founding fathers, and the Constitution, and the principles surrounding it. There's things we
So the
don't
basics.
know. The like and the reality, and then
that cricket's big, dude.
where we got it. Oh yeah, he's a nice guy.
In trouble.
Hopefully he doesn't jump on me.
It's like Biden supporter.
Probably Harris. Biden's out.
You're talking about the basics of it, Constitution.
The Constitution, like the principles behind it, the reason why it was drawn up, like the protections they were afraid of, which I think is what the problem is now, which is like the big government, the oversight, which is exactly what I think the founders, the Jeffersons, the Franklins, and Washingtons were trying to avoid.
We could go deeper on a different type of podcast, but I'm going to cut that off there. But I want to go into a little bit of what you said, that other laws that you cover, like the funeral home, like that, like
Yeah,
that's
so,
interesting. Take a quick break. I got the light. We'll come back.
Okay.
All right, hopping back in here. We left off at the funeral parlors because I was really curious how that works.
So, for example, we have a case where this woman, she's in her I think her 60s now. Her father had died 20-something years ago. He's a military vet. She goes, weekly, holidays, all that, like anyone would for a loved one, to go, pay their respects to his burial site. And like 3 or 4 months ago, she gets a phone call from a military service type of thing with veterans. And they're like, well, we found your father's remains in our basement. We wanted to let you know. And she's like, well, I've been praying for like 20 years at this gravesite. Like, what the are you talking about?
I didn't even know it was his. Maybe it was mislabeled.
Because no, it was labeled, like it's all identified. It's like, dog tag.
How do you
like,
identify ashes?
What's that? How do you
identify ashes?
His everything, his like personal effects, everything was with him from the day of death. And then what they did was they just
swapped it with someone else?
It happens all the time, especially since COVID. It's been like a real problem. When there was like a mass amount of deaths, especially with
who called her and said this?
It was a military service that deals with the remains of.
So like funeral parlors call up this military service and are like, hey, we kind of misplaced the body.
No. They're like, hey, we're going through our stuff. Like these are two separate entities. They're like, we're going through our stuff in our
I get
inventory.
Two separate entities. I'm like, what?
And they're like, we have your father's remains. Like, do you want them? And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I've been praying for 20 years at his gravesite when I was told his remains were there. And who the hell knows? We don't know who she's been praying to. But her
helping somebody.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure their spirit's happy about it.
Not to laugh,
but that happens all the time. Or the other ones are
kind of feel really stupid. You're like just so mad.
Yeah, they cremate a body when it shouldn't be cremated. They tell you there's one person there and then it's completely different. Like it's a.
What do you mean?
Like this is your father, right? Or this is your mother.
So
like that's not my
casket.
mom. That's not my mom.
Wrong person.
So
the whole room was like.
yeah.
This
it's
ain't
like
Steve.
Yeah, and I think when COVID happened, when there was like a mass death, especially in like the elderly population with these nursing homes, and things like that, when
Who told you that? The CNN ticker?
We didn't handle those cases, but if you want to talk politics and things like that with Governor Murphy.
Politics, I said, was there mass deaths during COVID? That's like a health issue.
There was in the nursing home population because they were putting COVID positive patients in.
Who, Governor Cuomo?
He did too, but I don't know much about New York, but Murphy did. And he actually did it in the VA nursing homes.
Murphy did?
Murphy did. And there was
Really?
a lawsuit, I think it settled, it was not us, for tens of millions of dollars because there was like 40 or 50 people that died.
Do you think Murphy could have been misled, or do you think Murphy did that maliciously? Should we tell Ian Smith?
I think everyone was misinformed. I don't want to believe that it was intentional, put it that way.
I think there was so much information through a vacuum and
scared
and
I think a lot of it was fear, and I think it was driven by the wrong reasons, the fear. I have a hard time believing a politician, even though some of them have looser than morals, would decide to put sick people in a population of sick people, which results in 40 or 50 deaths. I think that's... maybe that's...
Do you think politicians would sleep with kids?
Wow, you're really... I think
you were defending politicians.
I think anyone would. I think anyone.
What's going on with P. Diddy right now? We talk about P. Diddy beans all day.
I think it doesn't matter what profession you are. If you're sick, you're sick. Whether you're a politician, whether you're a judge, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a social media influencer, like whatever.
I'm a financial advisor.
A financial advisor.
And I have a podcast.
Whatever it is, I don't think that defines your morals or lack thereof. So I think they exist in all walks of life. It seems like, from what we're learning, though, that there is a sect of that upper echelon of people that have issues.
What do you think it is, though? Like, you see all this, sex trafficking, P. Diddy arrested, all charges dropped. It's like, You can see the good versus evil like in real time. Like you think they just become so wealthy and they have like everything. There's nothing that they don't want because they have all the money. They can get any house, any tile, any car. You think they just lack power, so they're like, let's traffic kids?
I think they're sick people that think that they do not have repercussions for their actions because of their power. And they're able to prey on the weak because of their power. And
Well,
they're like you said.
That's what rolls you back to fight and your brand and what you're about. Because a lot of big institutions, whether it be in the hospitalization system or large insurance companies or big law firms that are backing somebody and you're defending your client, that's what you're about. I know you try to do it in the most moral and ethical way. Anybody that looks at somebody that would call you an ambulance chaser, right, more or less, they're going to look at you through a negative lens, but I think you're a guy that tries to fight the right cases. And you've had some pretty large cases as well. You were on the Tracy Morgan case with your team and some guys that were on that.
Right, we handled the comedian that died, Jimmy Mack, in that, it was 10 years ago now, but yeah.
And then a current case, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, like the girl that was punched and stabbed in the face at Newark.
Yeah, Melissa Malden, yeah.
Literally being like a sweetheart that was there for a wedding at baggage claim, which could have been any of our wives, could have been any of our sisters or mothers. This Chinese immigrant, who's also stabbed people already, stabbed the corrections officer in jail, was released, goes and punches this poor innocent girl in the face with this knife object. I don't know exactly what it was. She has some serious medical issues, and she was there for a wedding. Poor innocent girl.
Right, she's a North Carolina girl, like salt of the earth, good people. She was in Jersey for a friend's wedding in Hoboken. She was on her way home. She said she loved Hoboken.
Did you tell her you're like a Hoboken like fanboy?
I did like 8 years there, and I said it was I enjoyed it. But yeah, she's just standing there in the airport and just gets stabbed, slashed, punched in the face.
Was it like, because he broke her orbital bone, was it just from the stab that broke her bone?
I think it was like a combination of how he came from behind and sort of slashed and punched her in the face at the same time, and broke her a bone in her nose, and it's all, she's on Fox News, she was on ABC, like she has a gash 3 or 4 inches on her face. She needs to see a plastic surgeon, a maxillofacial surgeon possibly because of the break in her nose.
Just some sinus issues you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, we'll see. The goal is to be able to heal without the surgery. I mean, she's going to need plastic surgery for the scar, but for the nose, hopefully she doesn't need a surgery.
Who's responsible for that? Like, is it TSA? Is it Port Authority? Is it United? Like,
well, obviously the guy, right? The guy who assaulted her. But absent that, there's a lot of digging that has to be done. It's just way early. So one of the things we have to investigate is exactly where she is and who is responsible for that area of the airport. Because you have Port Authority, you have state police, you have TSA, you have private security with United. United generally owns the Terminal A where the attack happened. What we're going to have to see is surveillance video. I mean, the reality is if this guy came off an Uber, walked in, 30 seconds later, stabbed her in the face, the only guy responsible is the guy. If this guy walked in and on surveillance video, he's pacing around for 3 or 4 hours, he doesn't have luggage on him, he looks shady, and no one actually asks him what's going on, what are you doing, that's an issue. And whose issue that is will depend on who's responsible for that security, who's the one monitoring that imaging, that video, whether that's United or someone else. That's what we have to find out, and we have to investigate, why it is.
I think it's important, and I think that the Port Authority and their chief of staff and their board would be open to a positive conversation because they also have wives and daughters and sisters that are going to the airport and pick up their baggage as well. And they have billions of dollars that flow through the Port Authority. I think they do a really good job. They're probably some of the best in the country. No hate on them. And shit happens. You can't have a cop on every single individual that walks through the airport. But to have a girl randomly stabbed in the face from a guy who obviously came from the exits. Like, is it proved yet that did he fly in?
I don't think so. That I don't think
rolled.
so. Yeah, my understanding is somewhere between 8 to 4 days or so before this attack, he was actually released from jail for
stabbing
someone else. Yeah, I mean, he's a serial stabber to the extent that's
Chinese
a thing.
immigrant.
That's what we think. I mean, we have to vet that out completely, but from my understanding, he's a Chinese.
Fox said that.
Yeah, he's a Chinese immigrant for several years. He's not like someone who just came over recently with our border crisis. He's been here for a while, but he's been in and out of the prison system.
But that should highlight what's going on at the border. Like, a guy 6 years from now could be the person stabbing a poor innocent girl at the airport.
It's scary, right? I mean, again, if we're going to go on like the politics things, like I get, you know, you watch.
It's not politics; it's your job. That's you're
well, right. Well, in this particular
suing
context,
somebody for this poor innocent girl that's going to need some money for all this
right,
medical bills and loss of work. And
if you're looking at the future, though, what you were saying is like like you wonder why countries like El Salvador and Venezuela, their crime has dramatically decreased. They're now some of the safest countries in the world. Like, I think it's pretty easy to distill why that's happened.
Why?
Because they're here, in my opinion.
So,
and then maybe a
released their
controversial.
prisoners and sent them here.
I think a large population. Yeah, I don't know how they did it or why they did it or what's the context, but I'm sure.
Well, if you flatten American cities and countries and certain sectors of the country and blow up manufacturing and then place Haitians there that eat ducks, you know, then you have new workers and people who are loyal to you that are going to vote for you and your power system.
Well, and you look at some of the crimes that that actually have been committed, where people are in jail. You have that girl in Georgia that was killed by someone who was an illegal immigrant who was a criminal in his own country. Like, those are people that should be.
What country did he come from?
I don't recall. I mean, I don't know. It was a Latin American country. I don't remember which one.
There's something I personally believe, and I could be talking out of my ass, but I see the Mexicans as really good people. Like, Mexicans are hard workers. I know that there's cartels and, you know, bad Mexican gangs, but a lot of Mexican guys that I see, they're hard workers. They love their family. They want to give their family another life. And I believe wholeheartedly that those people deserve it in, like, the same way we deserved it. We were just born here. But you got to come here right. And you got to be vetted. We got to make sure that you don't cause a danger to this poor girl in the airport. Not that a Mexican stabbed her or an Ecuadorian or a Muslim. It was somebody who was from China 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was. But this poor girl was stabbed by somebody who's not okay. Maybe his country released him here. Who knows?
I think the vast majority of the people that come here from Mexico, Venezuela, China, El Salvador are here for the right reasons. Mm-hmm. It's not those people that, that's the concern. And that's why why the system's in place to vet people before they come.
It actually works pretty good when we use it right.
Right. And so, you want the best and brightest and the hardworking people from all those people, because that's what I'm technically, I'm Italian immigrant, Polish immigrant families. That's America. Everyone's technically an immigrant in some form, but you just want people that are, continuing to fund the system of the United States of America, which is to make it better.
And we need more
to
workers.
Work hard.
As we all expand, we need workers. Young white kids are lazy. They don't do landscaping. I used to do landscaping. I don't see a white kid out there. Besides, I actually shouldn't say that. My current landscaper that grooms the property and takes care of things, shout out to Scotty, PLC. He's a young white kid, but a lot of the workers, the laborers, are all Mexican. White people don't want to work. So how are you going to fill those jobs? They need to be filled.
No, I think, there's a value.
The system works when done right.
There's a value to hardworking people, and those are the people we want. It's just
huge value.
You just have to know what the people are that are coming in.
This wall isn't built without some Mexicans. I'm straight up.
Right.
So, and a couple excavators. But.
No, I think it's a machine that just has to operate, correctly.
This girl was mistreated by an illegal immigrant. we're getting into the politics of it, but it's sad, and I hope, and I hate lawsuits, and I told you this shit. I really do. I think it's like, it gives me this like ick feeling because so many bad people misuse it. But the system was set up for the good people who need it and were mistreated or misled. Like these situations you're talking about, children are born with like webbed feet and these special needs, and no one ever told the parents. Like that's really hard. So kudos to what you're doing, and I hope this girl ends up with some money in her pocket for the losses.
We have to figure out who's responsible for it, and that goes back to like what you're saying, like the ambulance chasers of the world. Like that's why I think the brand of fight means something to me, at least.
You couldn't have branded it at like a better time, which
I branded it before that.
I know, but most people literally ask about the hat.
I know.
They're like, is that Trump's hat?
But the way I look, like when I was starting it and thinking about like what I am, like being a lawyer, like taking out like the cheesy part of it or like whatever it is, like as
it's not cheesy. It's also a really hard test to pass. It's a lot of education. There's a lot to know. So
relatively, it's not that hard. But like I look at it as more like a father and like a husband, like, and if someone maims your family, right? Like you are driving in a car and a tractor trailer driver's texting when he shouldn't be with 30,000 pounds behind him, or a doctor's just not following basic safety rules that causes someone to have catastrophic injuries. When that happens to your son, daughter, wife,
hope it never does.
You want to kill that person. Like, I'm talking. You want.
Yeah.
You want to fight that person. So the way I look at it is, I'm your gun. Like I am the one that's going to fight for you within the bounds of what we can do. Yeah. This isn't like going back to the history. This isn't Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr dueling it out for your grievances. Like the only way you can do is law and money, and so the only way we can fight for you is that way. So that's like half the battle.
So what would you take on cases for people? So I get into a bad accident, I have no money. You take those types of cases on?
We don't charge anything. We're like at plaintiffs' firms pretty much like throughout the country, what's called contingency fee, meaning the only way we make money is if your case is successful, and then it's statutorily driven like what we can get. But yeah, we front hundreds of thousands of dollars on the most complex cases.
Does private equity or anybody like back that? Like how
they can. I think there's
how do you
like
bankroll.
So it's the success of the firm, right? So there's like somewhat of a bankroll that the firm has itself. That's one way. There are firms that they have loans come out. Like we don't do that, but they can be loan money for specific cases.
So what does that mean? Hold on. So like let's just say it's a Tracy Morgan's case. Bank of America and Chase is going to come out and compete to like land loaning money on that case.
So there are like we didn't do that kind of stuff, but they're called like funding companies. So I assume they're sort of private equity in a way. They're not banks like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, but they group or pool money together in some form, and they loan firms money. They even loan clients money. Sometimes clients are so destitute by their injuries, God forbid, like a breadwinning father passes away, can't work, doesn't have life insurance, doesn't have whatever insurance to protect his family, they might have to take money out. There are companies that loan people money. They're like,
that's extremely sad. He should have a lot of permanent life insurance.
Right. That goes back to
with living benefits.
But yeah, so they're like bad credit cards, right? They do the same thing for lawyers too. Lawyers that can't fund their cases for whatever reason, or if they're massive, multi-million-dollar class actions and mass tort litigation, there are funding companies that fund those sorts of things. But a non-lawyer cannot be an owner in a law firm. And pretty much everybody, Arizona and Utah.
Yeah, the lawyers find a way around that, it semes.
That's
interesting though. I never thought about that. Like, you're laying out hundreds of thousands of dollars to battle for this person. Obviously, it's we live in a capitalistic society. That's okay. To hopefully get a nice payout on the back end and to win these people a ton of money, but that's it's a lot of risk.
Well, we're in it together. That's what I tell the clients. Like, if my job is to turn over a rock, get you as much money as humanly possible, whether it's settlement jury trial, whatever it is. And I'm going to educate you on the risks of that. But, that's what we do.
So what exactly do you do? Give us some other examples of cases. We talked about the funeral home. We talked about special needs birth.
There's the medical malpractice cases. There's nursing home litigation where sometimes there's like elderly people that are
negligence.
in rehab facilities that are left basically to sit in their bed in their own feces and not moved or
I
turn.
know that actually very well. My mother was actually right over here in Wall. Was in a nursing home community, assisted living facility as a activities person. And my sister worked as a nurse in nursing homes forever. And it's like,
sad.
It's tough.
It's sad.
It's tough.
I mean, people end up with, as gross as it is, like basketball-sized holes in their back.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad. And then obviously the classic motor vehicle accident cases and, the tragedy that kind of happens in that world as well. Spinal surgeries and all those sorts of catastrophic injuries.
And you serve all New Jersey?
All New Jersey. I'm barred in New York. We don't really practice much in New York. But yeah, pretty much New Jersey based right now.
Well, this conversation has been really good. I like it.
Good.
I've learned a lot tonight. It's been fun. It's been entertaining. We touched on a lot of different topics. What we didn't touch on is like your beautiful wife, Lauren, who supports you to do all this stuff.
Right.
Also, one of my most favorite things I learned about your wife, Lauren, is she worked for Trump's organization, and I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
So I think Trump and his family are really good people that get shit on, although Trump is imperfect. And your kids?
Yeah, no, like the wife is like outstanding. I can't do anything without her. And she is the best mom. And the kids, I got a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, 2 boys. Yes, she worked. She's an interior designer. She went to FIT for that, and
She's like legit. Like
she's like
I saw your house listing. Like your house is like stupid good.
She's stupid good. Yeah, like.
She taking on any clients herself? Or does she?
No, she has her own business now. So
really?
she worked
What's her
for.
business now?
It's L Brigitte. Their middle name is Brigitte. Design company. So in this area, she's like Spring Lake, Seagirt, Wall, Manasquan. She has clients like kind of all over. She also teaches interior design at Brookdale right now.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she was a former Trump employee before he was president.
And our kids are in the same class over at Atlantis Prep.
Yeah.
They love it.
Colton,
I heard your kid's like a freak athlete though. Kelly said he smokes everybody. Beats people up.
I am not in the shape I want to be in, but every day he comes home after like a long day of school. He's like 9 to 3:30, and he wants to do a workout. Like his whole goal is to be buff, and like I don't know how the hell he got it, but the kid's jacked.
So where did you start doing push-ups after school?
Yeah, in the morning.
My
too.
kid wants like snacks,
No,
pizza,
like-
and lay on the couch with Kelly.
No, like 7 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "Can we do push-ups, Dad?" I'm like, "Oh shit! All right, let's do it."
That's good. He's keeping you in shape.
Yeah. He's the only one keeping me in line. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow, where's that drive come from?
Him? I don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like, I
it
mean,
your wife?
at that age, I don't know what.
It's just in him.
It's just. I think it's just in him because I mean, I like to work out, but I'm not like a freak with that. It's not like it's a part of my life where it's like clearly like what I do every day, all day. He just gravitates to it. I don't know.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, and the other one's a genius. Like,
He's got the smarts.
yeah, when we were sitting in, we used to live in Wall. We had like a balcony and like a bi-level, pretty active street that we were living on. He just naming car brands at like 3 years old. Like, that's a Mercedes symbol, Audi symbol. Yeah, but I'm proud of him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Family, you're a good American, good dad. I know you care about community. You're slowly, coming into the pit and Fireside's ecosystem. I know you're going to add a ton of value. As we roll to an end here, I'd like to ask a couple questions.
Okay.
My first question, which I didn't ask Chris last week, he got very upset. I'm going to go back to it. If you wanted to give some other people love, obviously we gave your beautiful wife Lauren some love and your children. Is there any other business owners, mentors, or anybody else you would like to give some love for the success that you have found in your life?
Well, obviously, wife and kids, and I want to thank you guys. Like, honestly, like I I sort of like felt you out, Chris. I knew because my
Typical
older
lawyer, fill me out. I saw you do it.
Yeah. My older son went to class with his son, and like I said, you guys are a great group of guys that are focused on everyone else.
And some girls.
getting
There's some
better.
girls here too.
And girls. Yeah, I sent a fight hat to Texas.
Yes. Yeah, Carly's pumped about that.
Yeah.
She got the Texas crew down there going to fight for you.
There you go. But yeah, I'm thankful for bringing me on the podcast, and thankful for you guys too.
Yeah, we had somebody drop off tonight because we just lost our entire schedule because we were about 3 months behind when this thing was supposed to be built. I asked you 2 days ago,
Yeah.
to pop on, and I knew that you just officially joined the pit. You've been kind of like hanging around and feeling us out and seeing what we were about, which everybody should. You shouldn't trust anybody. There's a lot of dirtbags out there in the world, and sometimes I forget that. Like, hey, we're doing so much good. We're spending so much money on, like, for most people, like, I said this on Chris's episode, so I don't want to be redundant, but my wife and I bought this house. It's expensive. Like, I don't have tens of millions of dollars. Like, I'm out here on the internet trying to inspire you guys, but I don't think I have like fake helicopters, private jets, and hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, I'm just a regular guy. I'm trying to show you that you could do it too. Mm-hmm. And the podcast was an important thing that we got done. We got here and we're like, let's do the podcast. My wife would love for the new master bathroom to be remodeled, but this was important to us.
Right.
And it's important to our ecosystem. It's not about Ryan. Yes, I'm the mouthpiece.
I have a special guest.
Yes, Hudson. He shows up once in a while. He's from Russia, actually. His name's Putin. Second question. If you can tell any young Tom, Chris, Ryan, Trevor, Kelly, Lauren, if they wanted to pursue something like you did, you pursuing your lawyer career, creating your own brand now, Fight, what's the one thing you would tell them?
Use whatever tools you were given to give yourself an advantage. And so, like, in my perspective, if I was to tell 16, 17-year-old Tom with the sports, like, use the tool of you being able to get into Georgetown or Villanova because of your athletics, not because of your academics. Use that tool to take advantage, so that way you can become bigger.
Yeah, it goes back to like what percentage of like athletes go pro. It's small.
Right, and I think it's just whatever.
As well as if your parents are successful, right? Which a lot of successful people just take advantage and become entitled, like people who are like mad that they were like born wealthy, and they become like trans.
Yeah.
Like you decided to like take advantage of your father being successful and your mother being a great mom, and
it's just
do great things with it.
It's just use the tools you were given,
You're not trans,
either
are you?
naturally. What's that?
You're not trans?
Not yet. No. use whatever tools you were given, either by God or by your upbringing, and just take advantage of them.
Or Allah, or Muhammad, or whatever you believe in.
Whoever you believe in.
Yeah, whatever you believe in. Because Fireside, we really do accept it all if you're good people.
No, who cares if you're a good person?
I really,
I don't.
I really do not give a shit.
And whether you're trans, gay, whatever color you are, if you're
cool
a good
with
person.
the gays. I don't get down with the trans. They ain't allowed in the pit.
All right, fair
You
enough.
can sue me. Dude, this has been fun. You're unlike other lawyers. We talked politics, and I had needling questions that make you uncomfortable, and you answered them, and you're a good dude. And I'm really happy that we're friends. You're a part of this family now, and cheers to you. Thanks again, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.